Hello everybody, here we are today doing our last CFL season preview, and this one's going to be about the Ottawa Redblacks. So before we get started with that, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or the CFL, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So last season proved to be another tough year for the Ottawa Redblacks as they ended up going 4-14 and missing the playoffs for a fourth straight season. So with a busy offseason and excitement back in our nation, what are some storylines to watch out for 2024? Well, the first one is that the offense is going to be fun for better or worse. And this is interesting too because last year, the points per game wasn't necessarily an issue as they finished about middle of the pack, but it was more of the passing game that proved to be a problem as they finished with 11 passing touchdowns on the year, 18 interceptions. Yes, they had almost double the amount of interceptions that they had passing touchdowns, and they were the only team in the league to allow over 60 sacks last year, and they allowed 71. And on top of that too, they were dead last in the league for passing yards per game, and they were the only team in the league to finish under 200 yards. Now, the good news is they're moving away from Dustin Crum, and I'm not disrespecting Crum at all, but they are switching to Drew Brown and Jeremiah Mazzoli. Drew Brown has 3 years, although limited, of CFL experience, and last year proved to be a really good year for him. Jeremiah Mazzoli is a good quarterback when he's able to play. Biggest issue has been injuries in the past few years, so you are hoping that the QB situation theoretically should be better than what it was last year, and I do feel like it should be. Pair that with the fact that the receiving core has fun names like Dominic Rhymes that came over from BC, and then guys like Justin Hardy and Jalen Eklund. You can see why people are excited, and they also have Nick Marner, which was the second overall pick in this year's draft. The passing game should be better. I don't really see a world where it could be worse. And then you have Tommy Condell, where he's going to be really motivated to try to have new looks and try to be better than what we saw with him in Hamilton last year. There's a lot of pieces that could be moving here. Could things be bad? Yes, but I think this very well could be the best offense we've seen from them, maybe since like 2018. Is that going to bother me to say? Yes, but this offense should give fans a reason to watch. And I think that besides what we see in the early parts of the year, it could be a really good season for them. And then my second talking point is, can this team win one-score games? Last year, they went 4-14, but forget talking about the one-score games where it is 7 points. Let's talk about 4 points. They had 5 losses this season by 4 points or less. And if you look at that and realize, okay, well, maybe they go out there and win all of these games, they're a 9-9 team. I know that's a little bit dramatic to say, oh, they're going to win all these games that are low-score games or one-score games, if you will. But if you're 9-9, you're going to be in that playoff conversation. And there were a couple other games where they lost by 7 points or 8 points. And seeing how the offense should be better, they might be able to get out to better starts this year and not have to worry about some things. If they can avoid big collapses and then get out to good starts at the beginning of games a little bit more consistently, you'd like to think they're going to be in games a little bit more. And you'd like to think with the offense being better, maybe they execute more in those games that are close and then pull out more victories. But I think in a perfect world, of course, they'd be having a lot of blowout wins. I don't really have a crystal ball, but I do think we could see a game where the single game and a single play of that moment could decide whether or not the Ottawa Redblacks are headed to the playoffs. Those one-score games are something to watch out for this year, and hopefully they're going to be on the right side of it for 2024. And then the final talking point is going to be what exactly could be a weak link for the team this year, and I think that it could be the secondary. Looking at what we saw last season, they allowed the highest yards per passing attempt in the league, and then allowed the most yards per game through the air, nearly 300 yards per game. They are dealing with some things, of course, and they are trying to find help in the secondary as they're dealing with some injuries. They recently did sign Winston Rose to deal, so that is certainly interesting. But you're hoping that things can get figured out and be better to where they avoid less big plays and are able to continue to make plays. So looking what we saw last year, yeah, there were some issues, but they did get a lot of interceptions as they had 24 interceptions. I want this group to still be, attempting to go out there and be aggressive and try to be greedy and win the ball back, but still not have it to where they're getting scorched some games. Now, maybe things are going to work better as they have guys like Darius Pickett that's going to be joining them, and then they're hoping maybe a guy like Lorenzo Malden can end up having a bounce back year. Don't forget either that they had Bryce Carter last season that was able to apply pressure. If this front group can be able to get more pressure on quarterbacks and the secondary can be all right, not even great, just be able to continue to make interceptions and make plays, this group should be better. But I think early in the year with them playing Winnipeg twice, you could see this group tested, and I think if we're looking through the first half of the year and things aren't looking good, probably going to continue for the second half of the year as well. And there's a lot of things that could go wrong for this team, but look at the secondary especially. So overall, what are my thoughts on the Ottawa Redblacks? They're a team that seems really fun, and now we see if they finally live up to the hype. This has been a club that in recent years You really hope things would go well for them. Mazzoli's injuries certainly have hurt them, but if they miss the playoffs again this year, that would be 5 seasons without a playoff appearance, and then you're kind of wondering how interested fans would be, because yes, fans have shown up for this stretch, which has been really, really bad. But if you are continuously bad in a league where it's hard to make money year in and year out, not winning and being probably the worst team in the league over that stretch wouldn't really help. And that is where things get interesting too, with Bob Dice and Sean Burke, the head coach and the GM. Are they going to see a purge where the front office is gone? And if not, will we see a roster purge? That is going to be crazy if that happens, but a great way to avoid that is by winning a lot of games and going to the playoffs. I did say in my previews long before, like months ago when we all put it together on Instagram, that I saw Ottawa being the 3 seed and being like something like 7-11, 8-10. Really hoping that can be the case, as they have potential, but potential doesn't mean anything until you get wins. But anyway, what are your thoughts on the 2024 Ottawa Redblacks? How do you think this season will go for them? Do you think they'll make the playoffs? Do you think they'll have a winning record? I want to know all that stuff down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe and have a great night.